You've got dreams, big ones. But let me ask you something. What's stopping you? Fear, doubt. Maybe it's the voice in your head telling you you're not ready. Or maybe you're stuck, waiting for some magical sign to tell you it's time to move. Let me tell you, there is no sign. The only sign you need is the one you give yourself when you decide today, right now, that you will no longer wait. You will no longer be the person who looks back at their life in regret. You will no longer let opportunities pass you by because you were too afraid to step up. The truth is, there are countless things that hold us back. People, situations, fears. But in the end, the biggest obstacle is you. Yes, it's the stories you tell yourself about what you can and can't do, about what you deserve or don't deserve. It's the way you hold yourself back, thinking you need to be perfect before taking that first step. No one has all the answers. No one has it all figured out. But those who succeed aren't the ones waiting for permission. They're the ones who take action in the face of fear, who move despite the doubts, and who keep going even when the road isn't clear. So if you're tired of staying in the same place, if you're ready to break free from the chains of self-doubt and fear, then it's time. It's time to unlock the power that's been inside of you all along. And if you're wondering how to start, stick with me, because today we're going to look at 7 things that will help you tap into the potential you've been holding back. We all have something we want to achieve, something that deep down we know we're meant to do. Yet for many of us, that potential remains locked away, waiting for the right moment, the right circumstances, or the right motivation to break free. Here's the hard truth. That moment may never come unless you create it. Your potential isn't some abstract dream. It's something within you waiting to be unleashed. But it starts with one thing: belief. Not just any belief, but the kind of belief that gets you out of bed every morning, ready to face whatever the day throws at you. In this video, we're not talking about vague advice or feel-good quotes. I'm talking about the real stuff, the things that make the difference between living a life of quiet frustration and living one full of purpose, drive, and accomplishment. Today, we're going to explore 7 points that will show you how to unlock your true potential and start living the life you were meant to live. These aren't quick fixes, and they won't make everything perfect overnight. But if you take them seriously, if you really apply them to your life, I promise you, things will start to change. So let's get started. Step 1, recognize the lies you've told yourself. Let's get one thing straight. The biggest obstacle standing in the way of your potential isn't the world around you. It's the stories you've been telling yourself. We all have these stories about why we can't do something, why we're not ready, why it's too late for us. But here's the thing. Those stories, they're not true. They're lies. And if you don't challenge them, if you don't tear them apart, they'll keep you stuck, trapped in a place where you never move forward. How many times have you told yourself that you're not good enough for something? Maybe you've thought, I'm not as talented as that person, or I don't have what it takes. Maybe you've convinced yourself that you're too old or too young, that you've missed your chance, or that you're simply not capable. These thoughts are sneaky. They creep into your mind at the most vulnerable moments, and if you let them, they'll define your actions. But the truth is, every single one of those thoughts is a lie. Every time you tell yourself that you can't do something, you're accepting a narrative that isn't yours to own. We live in a world where external voices, family, friends, social media, even strangers, are constantly telling us who we should be, how we should act, and what we should achieve. But the real problem is when we start believing those voices more than our own, when we listen to them so much that we start telling ourselves the same things. We start to believe we're not worthy of success, that we don't deserve the life we dream of, or worse, that we're not capable of achieving it. But all of that is just noise. These lies you tell yourself are holding you back from everything you want to accomplish. Every time you believe that you're too old, too inexperienced, or too late, you're telling yourself that you don't deserve to try. You're telling yourself that the world isn't open to you. But if you really think about it, what have you lost by not even trying? And what could you gain if you just tried? That's right, tried. The first step isn't about succeeding right out of the gate. It's about showing up. Think back to the last time you felt truly capable. When was the last time you looked at a challenge and thought, I can handle this? I'll bet it wasn't when you were doubting yourself. It wasn't when you were telling yourself, this is too much for me, or I'll never be good enough. Those lies only cloud your judgment, distract you, and prevent you from stepping into your full power. There's a simple truth about success. It doesn't come to those who wait for the perfect moment or for everything to line up perfectly. It comes to those who show up and try regardless of the doubts, fears, and insecurities that try to take over their minds. So what do you do with those doubts? You face them head on. You look them in the eye and tell them, you don't control me, and here's the hard truth. You will fail. That's right. I said it. You will fail, and that's okay. Because failure isn't the end. It's part of the process. You'll never know what you're truly capable of if you're afraid of failing. So you've got to be willing to push past the fear of failure and understand that it's a natural part of growth. But when you're so focused on the lies you tell yourself, when you're so stuck in the idea that you're not good enough, you'll never get the chance to see how strong you really are. If you want to unlock your true potential, you've got to start questioning those lies. You've got to dig deeper, beyond the surface level doubts and excuses. Ask yourself, what is the truth here? The truth is that you have everything you need to move forward. The truth is that the only thing standing between you and your goals is the story you're telling yourself. Now, I know it's not easy. These lies don't just disappear overnight. They've been embedded in your mind for years. Maybe it's the way you were raised, the way society has conditioned you, or the way you've been treated by others. But the power to change that narrative is in your hands. The minute you stop accepting those lies is the minute you take control of your life. Start by acknowledging these lies for what they are, false beliefs that were never yours to begin with. Then start replacing them with something real. Every time that voice in your head tells you you're not good enough, replace it with a thought that challenges that lie. Tell yourself, I am capable. I am worthy of success. I am enough just as I am. And keep repeating it until you believe it. The more you do this, the more you'll see your life begin to shift. The real story of who you are isn't defined by your past mistakes or by the limiting beliefs that you've carried with you. It's written by your actions today, by the choices you make moving forward. And you have the power to rewrite that story. So if you've been telling yourself that you're too old, too young, too inexperienced, or just not good enough, it's time to stop. Those lies are keeping you in a cage, and the key to your freedom is in your hands. The truth is that you are capable of so much more than you've been led to believe. Don't let the lies you tell yourself hold you back any longer. It's time to unlock the potential that's been inside you all along. The world is waiting for you. It's time to show up and prove the lies wrong. Step 2. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. You know what I've learned over the years? That perfect moment you're waiting for, it's not coming. Let me repeat that. It's not coming. That moment when everything lines up just right, when the conditions are ideal, when you feel completely ready, that's just a myth. It's a dream we tell ourselves to keep from taking action. I've heard it 1,000 times. People say, I'll start when things calm down, or I'll take that risk when I feel more confident. We all want to believe that there's some magical point in time where everything will fall into place, where all the stars will align and the road ahead will be clear. But that moment doesn't exist. The truth is, you're waiting for something that will never happen. And here's why. The only perfect moment is the one you create by taking the first step, even when it's messy, even when it's uncertain. Let's be real here. If you're waiting for perfection, you're going to wait forever. Nothing in life is perfect. There's always going to be a wrinkle in the plan, a bump in the road, or a setback you didn't expect. That's part of the process. What matters is not waiting for everything to be just right, but doing what you can with what you have, where you are right now. Take a moment to think about it. What have you been putting off because you're waiting for that perfect moment? Maybe it's starting that business you've always wanted. Maybe it's going after a career change. Or maybe it's just making a decision that you know deep down you need to make. You might have told yourself, once I get this one thing sorted out, then I'll move forward. Or when I have more money, more experience, more time, then I'll act. But here's the hard truth. You're not going to get more time, more money, or more experience unless you start moving now. Look, I get it. We all want to wait for the right moment, the one that feels like we're ready for whatever comes next. But waiting for perfection is a trap. The more you wait, the more you hold yourself back. The more you tell yourself it's not the right time, the more you let your dreams slip further away. Starting is the key. Even if it's not perfect, even if you're unsure, even if you're scared, it's about taking the first step, no matter how small, and building from there. When you start, you give yourself permission to fail. You give yourself permission to learn, to adjust, and to improve along the way. You can't learn from the sidelines. You can't grow by waiting for the perfect moment. Think about some of the people you admire most, the ones who seem to have it all figured out. Do you think they were waiting around for everything to be perfect before they made their moves? Heck no. They took action, even when they didn't have all the answers. They stepped into the unknown because they understood something crucial. Success isn't about waiting for the stars to align. It's about making your own stars, one decision at a time. I'll be honest, I've been there too. I've had my own moments where I told myself I wasn't ready, that I needed just a little more time or a little more preparation. But here's the thing I learned the hard way. No amount of waiting, no amount of preparation is going to prepare you for what comes next. Life doesn't give you a perfect script, and that's okay. It's about embracing the mess, the chaos, the uncertainty, and trusting that you'll figure it out as you go. Perfection doesn't exist in real life. What exists is action. What exists is momentum. What exists is showing up day after day, even when you don't have it all figured out. The more you show up, the more the pieces start falling into place. You start seeing progress, even if it's not immediate. And that progress is what will get you closer to where you want to be. You can't wait for everything to be perfect, because when you do, you miss the opportunity to grow in the process. Life isn't about getting everything right before you take action. It's about taking action, learning, and adjusting. Start messy, start scared, start unsure, but start. Every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. You might stumble along the way. You might have moments when you think, what was I thinking? But those moments are part of the process. They're part of growing, part of learning, part of the reality that life is rarely smooth. But guess what? It's worth it. The path to success isn't about waiting for the perfect conditions. It's about making the decision to act now, regardless of what's ahead. So stop waiting. Stop looking for the perfect moment, because it's never going to come. The moment you've been waiting for is here, now, right now, today, this minute. You don't need more time. You don't need more resources. What you need is the courage to take that first step, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's messy, and trust that the next steps will follow. If you keep waiting for everything to be perfect, you'll keep standing still, watching life pass you by. But if you choose to move, even when you don't have everything you need, you'll create your own opportunities. You'll learn along the way, and you'll discover the strength you never knew you had. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Create it by taking that first step. The rest will follow. 3. Own your failures like a boss. Here's something you need to hear. Failure is not your enemy. It's not a sign that you're not good enough, not smart enough, or not capable enough. It's not a mark on your record that you should be ashamed of. No, failure is a teacher. It's the most honest feedback you'll ever get in life. It might sting, it might feel like a punch to the gut, but let me tell you something, it's only failure if you let it be. We've all been there, right? You put everything you have into something, you believe in it, you give it your best shot, and then it all falls apart. Maybe it's a business that didn't take off. Maybe it's a dream that didn't work out the way you thought it would. Maybe you tried something new and it failed in front of everyone. But I want you to think about this. How did you handle it? Did you let that failure define you? Did you take it as proof that you're not cut out for success? Or did you do what truly powerful people do? Did you own it? Here's the truth. You have to own your failures like a boss. You can't shrink back when you mess up. You can't hide from it or run from it. You can't let your failures intimidate you into giving up. You've got to stand tall with them. Look them square in the face and say, yeah, I fell, but you know what? I'm still standing. Failure hurts, no question about it. When you give your all and things don't work out, it can feel like a slap in the face. But the only thing worse than failing is not trying. And the only thing worse than failing is letting that failure make you feel small, make you feel like you're not worthy of success. So stop holding back. Stop letting your fear of failure control you. Failure doesn't define you. How you respond to it does. I'll tell you something that might surprise you. The most successful people you know, they've failed more times than they care to count. They've hit rock bottom more times than they've probably admitted. But what they did that was different is this: they didn't let failure keep them down. They didn't let it stop them from trying again. Instead, they let failure refine them, sharpen them, and teach them the lessons they needed to learn. See, failure isn't a wall, it's a lesson. It's a message telling you what didn't work so you can find a better way. If you run away from it, if you let it crush you, then you miss out on the opportunity to grow. But when you own it, when you stand tall with your mistakes and learn from them, you're unstoppable. I know it's easy to get discouraged. We all want to succeed, and we want to succeed quickly. But here's the thing: success doesn't come from avoiding failure. It comes from facing it head on and using it to propel you forward. Failure is a stepping stone. It's like a building block that you use to rise higher. Every time you fail and stand up again, you're learning, you're adapting, and you're becoming stronger. That's the real secret to success. I get it, it's not easy. Sometimes it feels like the weight of your failures is too much to carry. It's easy to look at your mistakes and feel like they're permanent, like they've marked you for good. But they haven't. Your failures are temporary. They don't last forever unless you let them. And the more you stand tall with them, the less power they have over you. You need to give yourself permission to fail. Stop being afraid of making mistakes. Stop trying to be perfect. You'll never grow if you're too scared to fall. It's not about getting it right every time. It's about being willing to get it wrong, getting back up, and trying again. The more you fail, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more you learn, the more you grow. And the more you grow, the closer you get to achieving what you really want in life. Think about it this way: you can't make progress if you're too afraid to fail. Every time you take a chance, every time you step out of your comfort zone, you're putting yourself in a position to fail. But guess what? You're also putting yourself in a position to succeed. And those failures, when you face them and learn from them, become your greatest teachers. So stop treating failure like a dirty word. Stop letting it hold you back. Own your failures. Wear them with pride, because each one is a sign that you're willing to push yourself, to stretch your limits, and to learn. Don't let anyone or anything make you feel less than for falling down. Falling down is part of the process. It's part of being human. It's not the falling that counts, it's the getting up. And let me tell you something, there's no shame in falling. The only shame is in staying down. The only shame is in letting your failures tell you who you are. You decide who you are. And I promise you, the person who gets up after failing, the one who stands tall with their mistakes and learns from them, is the person who will succeed. That's who you are. So next time you fail, don't run from it. Don't hide from it. Own it like a boss. Stand tall with it and let it fuel you to go further than you ever thought you could. Because the truth is, your failure isn't the end, it's the beginning. And how you respond to it will decide just how far you go. 4. Cut out the toxic people. It's the choice between holding on to people who are dragging you down and letting go of them so you can rise. I want you to listen closely, because this is something most people overlook, and it's something that can make or break you. The people you surround yourself with matter. They shape your thoughts, your actions, and ultimately your future. You can't keep letting people who don't believe in you stick around. I'm talking about those folks who love to rain on your parade. You know the ones, those who always have something negative to say, always find a reason why you can't do something, or constantly tell you why your dreams are impossible. The ones who make you feel small, like you're not enough, or like your ambitions are too big for someone like you. Get them out of your life. It's not about being harsh. It's about protecting your peace and your future. When you have people in your life who are constantly telling you, you can't, it's too hard, or you'll never make it, that's not love or concern. That's toxicity. And that toxicity can seep into your mind, your heart, and your spirit until it becomes a part of who you are. You cannot afford to carry that weight. Let me be clear, it's not just about the people who tell you that you can't succeed. It's also the people who subtly make you feel like you're not worthy, the ones who bring negativity into every conversation, the ones who make you question your every move. That's toxic too. Those people don't just make you doubt yourself. They make you question your potential. They plant seeds of insecurity that will grow if you let them. Here's the thing, you don't need anyone's permission to succeed. You don't need anyone's approval to follow your dreams. But when you've got people around you who constantly remind you of your limits, your mistakes, and your past failures, you start to believe that maybe they're right. You start to think that maybe you're not cut out for the things you dream about, and that's where the problem begins. It's time to cut them out. Now, I know that sounds harsh, but if you're serious about unlocking your potential, you need to be just as serious about who you allow into your circle. Toxic people don't just hold you back, they actively block your progress. You can have all the drive in the world, but if you're constantly surrounded by people who feed you negativity, eventually you'll start internalizing it. Think about it. If you hang out with people who constantly talk about their failures, complain about everything, and never encourage anyone to do better, what's that going to do for you? It's going to drain you. You can't let someone else's limited view of the world become your reality. You can't afford to let other people's doubts become your own. I know some of these people may have been in your life for a long time. I know it's hard to let go of people who have been there, whether they're family, friends, or co-workers. But you gotta ask yourself, are they adding to my life or are they subtracting from it? If someone in your circle isn't encouraging you, isn't helping you grow, isn't rooting for your success, then it's time to reconsider that relationship. You can't get to the next level in your life if the people around you are stuck at a lower level. And that doesn't mean you have to cut everyone off, but you have to be clear about who deserves your time and energy. Your energy is precious. You've got dreams to chase, goals to hit, and a future to build. Don't let anyone's negativity distract you from that. Now, I'm not saying you should completely shut out everyone who disagrees with you or doesn't think you're making the best choices. Healthy criticism can help you grow. What I'm talking about is the kind of negativity that weighs you down, the kind that makes you feel small, the kind that tells you you're not enough. That's what you need to cut off. You have to choose people who lift you up, people who inspire you, people who challenge you in a positive way to be better. These are the people who will remind you of your worth when you forget. They'll push you to be your best, even when it feels like the world is working against you. They'll celebrate your wins, big or small, and keep you motivated to keep pushing. Take a good look at the people around you. Do they genuinely believe in you? Do they celebrate your successes? Do they encourage you to reach for more, or do they tell you it's too much too soon? You need people who see the best in you. If you're surrounded by negativity, it's time to get clear about your boundaries. It's time to say, I'm not going to let you pull me down anymore. You have the power to control who you let into your life, and you don't need anyone's permission to do that. It might be uncomfortable at first, it might even hurt, but remember, cutting toxic people out of your life isn't about being selfish, it's about self-preservation. You can't succeed if you're constantly battling against the people around you. So stop giving energy to those who don't see your potential and start giving it to those who do. Those who encourage you, support you, and believe in your dreams. Surround yourself with people who lift you up and watch how much easier it becomes to reach for the stars. It's time to clean up your circle, cut out the negativity. Only keep those who are aligned with where you're going. Because if you're serious about achieving greatness, you've got to protect your peace. Step 5. Embrace the struggle. Let's get one thing straight. Growth doesn't come easy. If you're sitting there waiting for the perfect conditions, the stars to align, and for everything to feel right, you're going to be waiting forever. It's the struggle that shapes you. It's when things are tough, when you're exhausted, when you're ready to throw in the towel. That's when you're actually growing the most. I get it. You want things to be smooth. You want life to flow without constant challenges and setbacks. But if you keep looking for a way out of the struggle, you'll never unlock your true potential. The struggle is where the real work happens. It's where you find out who you really are. It's where your strength, character, and determination are forged. Look, we've all been there. You're working hard, putting in the time, and things aren't working the way you thought they would. You're frustrated. Maybe you're doubting yourself. Maybe you feel like you're not getting anywhere. Maybe you're even thinking that it would be easier to give up. But here's the truth. Every bit of that struggle is necessary. Without it, you wouldn't grow. Without it, you wouldn't become the person you're meant to be. People often think that success comes overnight, but let me tell you it doesn't. It's a process. It's a long road filled with bumps, obstacles, and detours. And the more you try to avoid the tough parts, the more you miss out on the lessons that come from them. You can't skip the struggle, and you shouldn't try to, because it's in the struggle where the magic happens. You see, the easy path doesn't create warriors. It doesn't create leaders. It doesn't create people who can stand tall and weather life's storms. The struggle is what builds your resilience. It's what teaches you how to push forward when you feel like you can't take another step. It's what prepares you for the big wins and helps you handle them with grace when they come. I'm not saying you should go looking for struggles or challenges, but when they show up, and they will, you have two choices. You can either run from them, let them break you, and give in to the idea that it's too hard, or you can face them head on, learn from them, and allow them to make you stronger. The choice is yours. Think about the times in your life when you've struggled the most, the moments when you felt like you were at your lowest, when you thought things were falling apart. Can you look back at those times and see how much you grew? Can you see how you came out the other side stronger, wiser, more capable than before? That's the power of the struggle. It doesn't break you, it makes you. It's easy to talk about success when things are going well. It's easy to be confident when everything is lining up perfectly. But when you're faced with setbacks, when you're up against a challenge that seems insurmountable, that's when your true character is tested. That's when you find out what you're really made of. And it's that grit, that determination, that perseverance that will take you further than anything else. I know it's tough. I know it feels like sometimes you're doing everything right, putting in all the effort, and still coming up short. But let me tell you, every step you take in the struggle is progress. You may not see it right now, but each challenge is moving you closer to the person you're meant to be. You're sharpening your skills, toughening your mindset, and building a foundation that will carry you through even bigger challenges down the road. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that struggle equals failure. But that's not the case. Struggle doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're doing something real. It means you're pushing yourself to your limits, and you're testing your capacity to rise above it. It means you're growing. It means you're evolving. And here's another thing, you don't have to go through the struggle alone. You don't have to carry the weight on your own shoulders. If you're in the middle of a tough time right now, I want you to remember this. There are people out there who understand. There are people who have been where you are and come out on the other side. You're not alone. The world will try to convince you that the struggle is something to avoid. It will tell you that if you're not succeeding effortlessly, then you're failing. Don't listen to that. The struggle is part of the process. It's part of the growth. And when you embrace it, when you face it with courage and determination, you'll look back one day and realize that it was all worth it. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by the challenges in front of you, I want you to remember this. You are not defined by the struggle, but by how you handle it. Embrace it, face it, learn from it, and let it transform you into the person you were always meant to be. The struggle is your training ground. It's where you develop the strength and resilience to keep going, even when the road gets tough. Don't back down from it. Don't shy away from it. Step into it, embrace it, and let it work for you, not against you. Because when you come out on the other side, you'll realize that the struggle was never something to be feared. It was the thing that made you unstoppable. Step 6. Never let success define you. Let's be real for a moment. The world has a way of defining success for us. It tells us that success is a title, a position, a big paycheck, or a bunch of social media followers. It convinces us that success is something you can measure with a number or a trophy. But here's the truth I need you to hear. Success is not a label, and it's not something you can hold in your hands. Success is about what you become in the process. You see, it's easy to get caught up in the external markers of success. The fancy cars, the accolades, the perfect job, the likes on your posts. But let me tell you, those things are fleeting. They come and go. The real question is, what happens to you when they do? When the applause dies down, when the checks stop coming in, when the spotlight fades, who are you? If you let success define you by what you have or what you've achieved, you'll always be chasing something you can never hold on to forever. There will always be more you can get, more you can do. And as long as you tie your sense of worth to things outside of you, you'll be left feeling empty when those things aren't there anymore. Don't get it twisted. Success is not a bad thing. It's a great thing. It's proof that you've worked hard, sacrificed, and pushed through. But it's only one part of the picture. What matters more is who you are when no one's looking. It's the quiet moments when you're alone with your thoughts, away from the crowd. Your true success is measured by your character, not your bank balance. Let me break it down for you. When you achieve success, it feels good, doesn't it? There's that rush of accomplishment, the sense that all your hard work has paid off. But if you let that success become your entire identity, you're setting yourself up for trouble. The world will always try to tell you that you're only as good as your last achievement. If you don't keep producing, if you don't keep climbing, they'll try to tell you that you're no longer relevant. But that's a lie. You are not what you achieve. You are who you are, no matter what you've got in the bank, or how many people know your name. It's easy to get wrapped up in the idea that once you've hit a certain milestone, you've made it. But I've seen it too many times. People who've reached the top of their field, only to find that once they get there, it's not as fulfilling as they thought it would be. They spent all their energy building an empire of success without ever asking themselves, who do I want to be when I get there? And when they reach the top, they find that success without a sense of purpose or character doesn't feel like much at all. That's why I'm telling you, never let success define you. Let your values define you. Let your integrity define you. Let your work ethic, your kindness, your generosity, and your resilience be the things that others remember about you, not the job you had or the awards you won. Those things don't last. But who you are at the core is what truly matters. When you take the time to focus on the person you are becoming, you start to realize that the process of becoming is where the real reward lies. The hustle is important, but the growth is what really shapes your character. When success shows up, you'll be ready for it, but it won't consume you because you've built your life on something stronger than just external validation. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with wanting to succeed. There's nothing wrong with pursuing your dreams and wanting to achieve great things. But if your success is the only thing that defines you, you're missing the point. The true measure of success is found in how you treat people, how you carry yourself in difficult moments, and how you use your position to elevate others. Think about the people you admire the most. Are they the ones who boast about their achievements? Or are they the ones who live with humility and a sense of purpose? It's the people who stay grounded no matter how high they rise that leave the most lasting impact. Their success doesn't puff them up. It humbles them. It makes them more aware of the responsibility they have to others and more committed to staying true to who they really are. Real success comes when you build your life around values that can't be taken away from you. It's about integrity in the small moments. It's about treating people with respect, even when no one is watching. It's about doing the right thing, even when it's hard, when you have that foundation. No amount of success or failure can shake you. You'll always know who you are. So here's what I want you to remember. Success will come. You will achieve things you never thought possible. But when it does, don't lose yourself in it. Don't let your accomplishments define you. Let your character, your values, and your authenticity define you. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that truly lasts is the person you've become along the way. Step 7. Don't be afraid to walk alone. There will be times in your life when you have to walk alone. You'll look around and realize that the people you thought would be there for you aren't. You'll be met with silence instead of support. That's tough, but here's the truth you need to embrace. You don't need a crowd to walk in your purpose. It can feel lonely when you're carrying a vision that no one else seems to understand. People may doubt you. They may question your decisions, dismiss your dreams, or tell you that you're heading down the wrong path. But the reality is, not everyone will see your vision the way you do. Not everyone will understand why you're doing what you're doing, and not everyone will be willing to walk with you, especially when the road gets tough. And that's okay. In fact, it's probably for the best. Because what I've learned is that the most significant growth, the real breakthroughs, happen when you're walking alone. When you have to trust yourself and rely on your inner strength. That's when you discover just how capable you are. The crowd won't always be there to cheer you on, and that's when you find out what you're really made of. You might feel the weight of isolation. It's a heavy feeling to carry, especially when the world seems to move in groups, always in sync with the popular trends, the latest ideas, the latest in thing. But just because everyone is going one way doesn't mean you have to follow. The road less traveled is often the one that leads to the most incredible discoveries. Not about the world, but about yourself. When you walk alone, you have the space to get to know who you really are. There's no one around to tell you what to think or how to feel. You have the freedom to make mistakes, adjust your course, and build your own belief system. It's in these moments of solitude that you learn to trust your instincts and follow your heart. You start to realize that the path you're on is yours alone, and it doesn't need to make sense to anyone else. It only needs to make sense to you. You'll be tempted to doubt yourself. You'll wonder if you're doing the right thing. You'll question your choices because, let's face it, it's uncomfortable being the only one who believes in your vision. But the truth is, doubt is just a part of the process. The key is not to let it paralyze you. If you can push through that uncertainty, you'll find that the strength you need has been inside you all along. There's power in walking alone because you learn that your validation does not come from others. You don't need external applause to know that you're on the right path. The journey of walking alone teaches you how to validate yourself, how to believe in your own worth, even when no one else can see it yet. You have to trust that what you're doing matters, even if it's hard to explain to someone who's looking at you from the outside. In fact, most of the time, people will only understand your vision once they see it come to life. You can't expect everyone to understand your ideas, your ambition, or your purpose at the beginning. They may even tell you it's impossible. But that's why you have to walk alone for a while. The people who don't believe in you now may become your biggest supporters later, once they see the work you've put in. You see, walking alone doesn't mean you're alone forever. It's just a season. A season where you learn to stand firm in your convictions. A season where you learn to trust the path that's unfolding in front of you, even if it's not clear to others. There will come a time when others will catch up to your vision. But by then, you'll have developed the strength, resilience, and self-confidence to keep pushing forward, no matter how many people are standing by your side. Let me be clear, being alone doesn't mean being isolated. It's not about shutting yourself off from the world. It's about learning to walk your path in peace, even when others aren't walking beside you. It's about not needing validation from others to know that what you're doing is important. It's about trusting your purpose enough to keep going, even when no one else sees the value in it. There's something deeply empowering about walking alone. It forces you to become the best version of yourself. You can't hide behind others. You have to stand on your own 2 feet. You have to confront your fears, your doubts, and your insecurities head on, because there's no one else around to do it for you. And this is where true transformation happens. You don't grow when you're surrounded by people who agree with you, who think like you, who see the world in the same way you do. You grow when you're forced to challenge yourself, when you're forced to find your own way, when you're forced to be uncomfortable and face the unknown. So if you find yourself walking alone, don't despair. See it as a sign that you're on the right track. Until then, trust yourself. Trust the path you're creating, even if it's one step at a time. The strength to change your life, to make an impact, and to walk in your purpose comes from within. When you trust yourself enough to walk alone, you'll find a power you never knew existed. You have what it takes, but here's the catch. You've got to decide. It's not enough to just hope for something better or dream about what could be. You have to make the choice to unlock your true potential. You have to choose to show up for yourself, day in and day out. Let's be real. There will be obstacles. There will be days when you feel like giving up, when the world seems to be telling you that you're not enough, that you're too old, too late, or that your dreams are too big. The world will try to define you, to put you in a box, and tell you who you are. But here's the truth. It's your job to prove them wrong. Nobody else can do this for you. Not your family, not your friends, not even your mentors. You've got to step up, take responsibility, and prove to yourself that you're worthy of your dreams. You've got to show up, even when it's hard, even when it feels like the world is against you. That's when you make the difference. So get out there and make it happen. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for things to line up just right. Start right now. The world is waiting to see who you really are. It's waiting to see what you're made of. You've got the strength, the skills, and the fire to make it. Now it's time to prove it. Show them who you really are.